The young of the predator went missing. They were discovered asleep on a person's chest. As she stared at the security footage, Commander Vexhi's forearms trembled and her compound eyes dilated with a mixture of terror and disbelief. Under the harsh lighting of the security office on the space station, the chitinous exoskeleton of the Zapharan apex predator, which stood nearly 8 feet tall, sparkled. But right now she felt smaller than the tiniest scavenger beetle. "Show me once more," she rasped through her translator, her voice carrying the undertones that would normally send prey species fleeing in panic. Martinez, the security chief, a tall man with gray hair, replayed the footage with skill. The timestamp showed 3 hours ago when Vexhi's twin cubs had somehow escaped their quarters during what should have been their supervised rest period. The young Zaphirians, each the size of Earth panthers despite being only 6 months old, had razor-sharp claws, venomous spines, and instincts honed by millions of years of evolution to hunt and kill. They vanished from the corridor. 7G, Martinez explained, his voice steady despite addressing one of the most dangerous species in the Galactic Federation. "We tracked them through the ventilation system until the footage switched to a new camera angle." Vexhi stood stunned and silent as her cubs entered the human residential section through an air vent. What transpired next defied all expectations. She understood about her species, about humans, about the natural order of the universe. The cubs had quietly made their way into Dr. A. A xenobiologist named Sarah Chen had been working late into the night. Any rational being would expect carnage. The young Zaphirians were known for being aggressive, and their instincts for hunting often took precedence over their still-developing intelligence. Before they could walk properly, they had killed full-grown thulicans. Instead, the security footage showed something impossible. Dr. Chen had looked up from her datapad as the first cub entered. She should have screamed. She should have triggered the emergency alert. She ought to have been ripped apart in a matter of seconds. She had smiled instead. "Oh, hello there." Her gentle and soft voice came through the audio feed. "You two must be Vexis. Children, are you lost?" The cubs had frozen, and no Zaphirian scientist had ever documented the conflict between their predatory instincts and something else. Clothra, the first cub, had tilted her head in what could only be described as a display of curiosity. Morden, the second, had tentatively advanced. Dr. Chen had extended her hand, palm up, as she slowly set down her pad. "It's all right, I've met your mother. She talks about you two all the time during our research sessions." In xenobiological circles, the next thing would be talked about for centuries. The human had been approached by the two cubs, not for hunting or stalking. They moved with the cautious curiosity that young mammals displayed when encountering something new and non-threatening. Clothra had detected her whiskers twitching, Chen's hand. Kirthra had done something that had never been done before in the history of Zaharian evolution when the human stroked gently behind the cub's auditory ridge. This should have sparked a violent defensive response. Instead, Kirthra had done it. She was purring. Vexhi muttered, "Impossible," as she observed her daughter nuzzling against the person's palm. The video kept going. Both cubs had been coaxed onto the small sofa in Chan's quarters in some way. While Morin lay sprawled on her lap like an enormous earth cat, she had continued working with one hand absently scratching behind his spinal ridges. The enormous head of Crathra was resting on the human shoulder as she curled up against her side. Within an hour, both cubs were fast asleep, their natural weapons retracted, their bodies completely relaxed in a display of trust that adult Zephirians rarely showed even to their own mates. "They've been there for 3 hours, Martinez said gently. "Dr. Chen emailed our office an hour ago and requested that we not wake them. I quote her, 'They look worn out.'" Vexhi observed the live feed intently. Her children, her deadly, efficient apex predator children, were sleeping peacefully on a human who weighed less than either of them. Dr. Chen had also fallen asleep, her data pad lying on the floor with one arm curved around in safety. Cruthra, with Morden's tail draping like a living blanket across her legs. I must comprehend this. Vexai said, her voice barely above a whisper. In all of Zepyrian history, our young have never... They don't. We're not capable of trust. Martinez kindly requested safety recognition, of knowing when someone means them no harm. The human security chief was the focus of Vexai's compound eyes. Your species is so insignificant and fragile. We've looked at how you move. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no venom. You should be prey. How was she assured that they would not kill her? Martinez observed the tranquil scene on the monitor for a brief period of silence. Dr. Chen has collaborated with your staff for 2 years. She understands your culture, customs, and history. She shows genuine affection when she talks about you and your children. He paused and carefully chose his words. Maybe. It's possible that your cubs are able to sense something that we humans have known all along, that being the most powerful predator does not require having the most lethal venom or the sharpest claws. Knowing when not to use them is the key. Martinez laughed. Dr. Chen saw your children as infants who had been separated from their mother, and they somehow understood that she saw them in that way. On the monitor, Claythra stirred slightly in her sleep, nuzzling closer to Dr. Chen's neck. Unconsciously, the human tightened her protective grip. Even in sleep, Vexai felt something shift in her understanding of the universe. Perhaps the humans' greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their adaptability. Perhaps it was their inexplicable capacity to perceive a creature created by evolution to kill them as a child in need of comfort rather than a predator. As she got closer to Dr. Vexai, found herself wondering, in a galaxy full of apex predators, what did that make the humans? As she went to Chen's quarters to get her cubs. She had a sneaking suspicion that the response was something far more wonderful and dangerous than anyone had yet realized.